Welcome to the Deep Dive with Dilly. Today's guest, we have Marc Lucino, who's a popular MLB content creator with over 220,000 subscribers on YouTube. So make sure you go follow him at Giraffeneckmarc on YouTube. Now let's get into today's interview.
Thanks for joining me. So you're a popular content creator, I would say. Would you describe yourself as that?
Yeah, I would say like in terms of baseball content, I'm up there with some of the bigger guys for sure.
Why'd you start getting into baseball, and like what age did you start getting interested in baseball?
Yeah, I mean like my first memories come from baseball, so I mean really like my dad got me super involved with it early. That was like always what we would play. We'd play with ball out in the backyard. Just kind of stuck with me my entire life. It was always my favorite sport, playing baseball throughout the summers and springs out here in New Jersey. And just kept that going until I got to college where I wasn't playing anymore. So I figured I need to kind of fill that void a little bit. And that ended up being with content creation.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a Mets fan. I'm a Braves fan, and like the Mets kind of scared me this year. How far do you think the Mets can go?
I mean, I think the Mets can make some noise for sure. I think we probably still need another starting pitcher, maybe a few other spots, but the goal is to win the World Series. I think we're on the right path. We got to beat the Braves though first. If we can't beat you guys, we're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, I know that Scherzer and DeGrom at the top of that rotation is looking really good for them.
Yeah, no, that's probably one of the best 1-2 punches we've seen in a really long time. So that has me super optimistic. I mean, not that it takes a lot for me as a Mets fan to be optimistic anyway, but
They made a lot of moves, but they still got one guy who wasn't there last year, Robinson Cano. I know a lot of Mets fans like have a mixed opinion on him. Like, what's your opinion on him, and do you think he could like be a big part of the Mets this year?
I think there's a world where he can make an impact. Do I think that's realistic though? Probably not. I mean, the last time we saw him play, he looked pretty good and he looked healthy, but we kind of know why he looked good and healthy, and it's because he was taking steroids and cheating. So it's interesting. Like he played in the Dominican Winter League this year, and he hit fairly well. It's just he really didn't have any like pop or power really left in his bat. So that's the biggest concern is going to be his like mobility and the fact of like he is just getting old to begin with. Will he be able to still have that power? Because if he's just a singles hitter, it really doesn't do us anything. But my expectations are low for him. If he's healthy and makes any sort of impact, I'll take it.
Yeah. You're as a baseball content creator with the lockout and the off season. Have you found it difficult to like be able to create content with your fans when there's really not much content?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's way more difficult. And I mean, even if you look at my consistency of uploads, like I've never been a guy who's been able to upload every single day, but I've definitely taken a little bit of a break right now, just knowing that one, the interest in baseball right now is a little bit low, just because everyone's kind of, I think, bothered by the whole lockout situation. But two, there really isn't anything to talk about, especially with the idea that a season isn't coming. Like this would be right now when I would be doing my predictions and all those videos looking forward to the season. But with that still up in the air, it's really hard. And I don't want to waste my good video ideas when the interest in baseball just isn't really there.
Yeah. Speaking of predictions, do you have any like really early World Series predictions? Even though like there's still going to be a big free agency frenzy with like Freddie Freeman, Correa, those guys still unsigned.
Yeah, I mean, like I still really like the White Sox. I liked them a lot last year, and I think they're going to continue to move forward, especially with having Luis Robert healthy for a full season. I think that'll make them a lot more dangerous. And then on the National League side, it's a little, I mean, you still have like the Dodgers, you still have the Braves who like, while they haven't gotten much better and could be getting worse by losing Freeman, like they're still the reigning champs. So you got to give them some love. The Mets are still good. There's a lot of teams, I think, kind of all in the same range right now of like, they all can compete for a World Series, but no one has really pushed themselves forward into a different grouping of like, we are the best team in baseball.
So, with the lockout, like let's say you were the commissioner for a day, what would your first move be? Like what would you want to do if like MLB was like, hey Mark, you're the commissioner?
Yeah, I'm ending the lockout. That's the first thing I'm doing. I've just like while the CBA is expired and there still needs to be some changes made to it, the league can still operate under the old CBA while they're negotiating. There's no reason for there to be a lockout. There's no reason for the players not to be able to continue going on with the season. The season doesn't need to be delayed. That's just like a power move by the owners and the commissioner. So to me, that would be the first thing, is just allow baseball to exist and continue the negotiations while spring training and maybe even the start of the season goes on. There's really no reason to completely stop the sport, especially when we did have such a successful season last year.
Yeah, I think right before the lockout, we had this big free agency frenzy, and like people were interested in baseball, and now there's no football, so the focus should be on baseball. But like one of the moves that's already going to be in place is the DH. How do you feel about the DH in the National League?
Love it. Love it. As a guy who has two pitchers that are getting paid about $35 to $40 million a year, I love the idea that the only way that they are going to be on the field is to do what they're being paid to do, and that's to pitch. Jacob deGrom, I think, got hit at one point last year, and it bothered him a little bit. And we've seen some other pitchers go down with, running the bases or, sliding back or even taking a swing. So when you have so much money invested in these guys to pitch, it's not to hit. I am so happy to not see the possible injury. Also, like from a entertainment aspect, I don't want to watch pitchers hit. Like outside of Shohei Ohtani and Jacob deGrom, really, and Bumgarner, I guess, there's like nobody that really hits at an even okay level where it's not an automatic out. So I'm very happy to see the DH.
So like, who would you say is your favorite player in MLB right now, and like, who did you grow up idolizing and wanted to be like?
Yeah, I think my favorite player right now is Pete Alonso. I think he just plays the game like it's really fun. Obviously, he's a Mets player, and I love the way he goes about everything. Like he very much wants to win. He's very focused, but also at the same time, like he's having a lot of fun out there. And I think he's a really good like role model for younger players or younger kids to watch right now. Just about how there's the common ground between like seriousness and having fun, along with he is really good and he's a Met. And then growing up, my favorite guy was Mike Piazza. I played catcher. We're number 31. I dressed up as him for Halloween like 5 different times. He was the man. He was definitely the best Mets player when I first started really watching baseball. And it just seemed like every single time there was a big moment, Mike Piazza was kind of around it. So he's definitely my favorite player of all time.
I saw on your YouTube channel you've met Jabari Blash. Is there like your favorite MLB player or like celebrity that you've met, or like who would you want to meet?
Yeah, so Jabari is definitely number one for me, which probably sounds a little bit weird if you know baseball, because he just was really a blip in the radar of MLB. But he was the first player that really gave me any sort of recognition in terms of the content that I was making, and the first guy that really seemed to treat me as like a peer rather than like, oh, he's just some random YouTube dude who talks about me for no reason. He treated me really well. So Jabari is definitely going to, always have a little special place for me in my YouTube journey and always be my favorite. And then in terms of guys I want to meet, Mike Piazza is probably up there as one of the people I want to talk to the most. Pete Alonso, someone I really want to talk to as well. And of course you have like Trout and Tatis and those guys that would just be unreal to meet, just because talk about all-time greats. Those guys will probably be some of them.
You talk about, you being a content creator, and as a baseball fan, like I love to talk about baseball and create content. And you have like about 220,000 followers on YouTube. What advice would you give to someone who wants to create content, whether it's baseball or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's like sort of cliche, but like make it. I feel like a lot of what holds people back is like the idea of like, oh, I'm not going to be good enough, or like, oh, maybe my quality isn't going to be the best, or I'm not too confident. Like you can't actually start making content until you do it. Like, and even if you look back at some of my first videos, like they were pretty awful compared to what they are now. And I'm sure 5 years from now, I'll look back at videos I made today and go, I can't believe I put those out. Like you're always going to grow, but you have to start somewhere. And I really do think the most important thing when you're trying to create content is actually doing it, because it feels like a lot of times people have these ideas, but then never end up executing on them.
Yeah. And like, what are some of your goals for this year or this season? Like, what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, if there is a baseball season, because that kind of will, justify my answers or not. I like to set my goals really high, and whether or not I reach them, that's not necessarily always in my control, but I like to, aim for the highest possible thing that I think is realistic. For me, I would love to hit like 400, 500,000 subscribers. I would like to have basically like 2 to 3 million views every month. I'd like to continue to grow my following, not only on YouTube, but on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff, and really just kind of build the Giraffeneckmarc brand out a lot more, so that it's no longer something that I'm like it is my job and it's doing well, but I really want it to be something that I can build into more, and continue to improve upon my brand and growth.
Yeah, where'd that nickname come from, Giraffeneckmarc?
So when I was first in college, this was 8 years ago now. I was playing FIFA. I was streaming FIFA under a different YouTube name, under a different Twitch name, Jubilant Gamer, and I was opening up all these FIFA packs. I had like a couple thousand people watching me on Twitch at the time, and my roommates came in and mooned the camera on Twitch, so I got banned. And during that stream, a lot of people were like, "Oh man, your neck's like so big. You got like a giraffe neck." My English friend was like, "Just call me giraffe neck all day." So when I got banned and had to make a new Twitch, it just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go giraffe neck. Just throw it out there. Who knows if this ever sticks? The stream continued to go well, and it just kind of stuck from there. So I got to give a shout out to the people of FIFA for this nickname.
Okay, and last question, because I know you're busy. What MLB stadiums have you been to, and what MLB stadium that you haven't been to do you really want to go to?
Yeah, so I think I've been to 18 of the current 30, and I think in total I've been to about 21 or 22 stadiums. My favorite one that I've been to this far is PNC Park out in Pittsburgh. I mean, the city itself was really cool. It's like it's a city, but it has like a small town vibe. And the stadium itself, I think, is really, really nice. The backdrop, behind center field is just one of the best you'll see in all of baseball. The food was really good. I thought all the views were really good. The people there were really nice. Like I just had a really, really good experience. And I felt like it was a great place to watch a baseball game. A lot of great baseball fans out in Pittsburgh, even if their team is struggling mightily. So that to me will be my favorite. And also I love Citi Field, but that's a little bit of bias for me. And then in terms of stadiums that I really want to see, I badly want to go to Oracle out in San Francisco. I've only heard good things about that stadium. Every single person who's ever been there says it is one of the best places to watch a game and that you have to go there. So that one's on my list. Same thing with Busch Stadium out in St. Louis, because I know Cardinal fans are so great. I really want to go there and experience a game with them. Granted, maybe the Mets won't be playing there just because I don't want to be outnumbered, but I've heard a lot of great things about St. Louis as well.
Yeah, I live in St. Louis, and I go to Cardinals games regularly, and yeah, it's a pretty good game, no matter what team you're rooting for.
Yeah, I've heard the atmosphere, and just Cardinals fans in general, like, are literally diehard baseball fans, all of them. So that'd be fun to experience.
They are. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mark. Best of luck.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
That'll do it for this episode of the Deep Dive with Dilly. Hopefully I'm able to get some more guests on so I can create some more content for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much, Mark, for allowing me to take a few minutes out of your busy day. And have a good day, guys.